Saturday mornings are supposed to be quiet around here, you know? Coffee, a bit of breeze, maybe some birds arguing over the same crust of bread. But not that Saturday. Not the one that started with the sound of something scraping across my roof. Not some squirrel or wayward branch, but that deliberate, gut-twisting grind that makes you set your mug down and step out before you even know what you're about to see. There she was, right on cue. Karen, standing at the base of her aluminum ladder with garden shears in hand, not even trying to look sneaky, reaching up and taking one last aggressive snip at the coax cables running to my satellite dish. That's when the arm of the dish just drooped, like a bird with a broken wing. Inside, my TV flickered to black. Karen didn't miss a beat. "Problem solved," she called, so smug it was almost impressive, like she'd just won the Nobel for neighborhood aesthetics. I bit down hard on my first dozen responses and just walked closer, trying to keep my voice steady. "Karen, did you really just cut my dish cable?" She didn't even blink. "It was an eyesore," she announced, folding her arms like the queen of the cul-de-sac. "The HOA voted. No roof fixtures unless they're low profile. Yours ruins the view." I said, "There's no rule about height, and you can't just destroy someone else's property." She gave that little laugh, condescending, perfectly rehearsed. "Maybe now you'll have it relocated. Properly." Then she clomped down the ladder, scooped up her tools, and walked off as if she'd just fixed world hunger. But here's what she didn't know. That dish wasn't for streaming late-night movies or watching the big game. My job depends on that signal. I pull weather data, atmospheric readings, all piped straight from satellites, part of a research network tied into federal systems. That cut cable wasn't just TV static. It was my living. I didn't bother explaining. I just snapped photos, the cables, the ladder, the timestamp on my phone, and messaged my supervisor. "Network disruption. Hardware damage. Give me 2 hours." But I didn't get 2 hours. About 23 minutes later, I heard tires crunching. 2 black SUVs, identical, unmarked, pulled into my driveway. Not the kind that belonged to cable repair. These were the kind you see in movies when someone's about to get whisked away. The lead guy, badge around his neck, steps out. "Mr. Reynolds? I'm Agent Harris, NOAA Satellite Security. Your feed went offline. We traced the cut to this address." I just pointed at the dish. Another agent started scanning the hardware. Fast, no small talk. Karen, of course, appeared again, pruning roses with the most obvious fake curiosity I've ever seen. "When did this happen?" Harris asked. "Eyes on me, eyes on the dish." I told him, "Half an hour ago." My neighbor thought she'd enforce a rule that doesn't exist. The second agent crouched by the roofline. "Not weather damage. Clean cut," he muttered. Karen finally couldn't hold back. "Excuse me, what's going on?" "That dish violates the HOA's height limit." I was helping the community. Harris didn't even look at her at first. "Ma'am, this dish is a registered link under NOAA's experimental data program. Tampering is a federal offense." The blood drained from Karen's face. She tried to laugh it off, but her voice was pure static. "Oh, come on. It's just a dish." "No, ma'am. Those cables you cut transmit encrypted government data. You've interfered with a federal network." You could feel the entire neighborhood holding its breath. Karen fumbled for her wallet, offered her HOA badge, as if that meant something. Harris handed it back, not amused. "We'll need your driver's license." She finally gave in, hands shaking. The agents took her statement, collected the garden shears as evidence, and told her to expect a citation pending investigation. Me? I got a contact card, a promise that a technician would be out to fix the dish by afternoon, and an odd sense of poetic justice. Karen muttered about overreactions and government busybodies as she stormed inside, slamming the door like it owed her money. When those SUVs left, the neighborhood was so quiet you could hear a dog sneeze 3 blocks away. But if you think Karen was done, you don't know people like Karen. By that evening, a special meeting notice landed in my mailbox. Emergency HOA meeting. Topic: unauthorized government equipment on residential roofs. Guess who signed it? She wasn't scared. She was doubling down. At the meeting, she stood at the front, waving color printouts of my dish like it was Exhibit A at the trial of the century. "This is why we must enforce aesthetic discipline," she thundered. Someone piped up, "Didn't the feds just visit you about that?" Karen's smile faltered, but she soldiered on. "They overreacted. If we let this slide, everyone will start mounting stuff." I let her rant, then stood. Karen cut a NOAA network cable. The agents weren't overreacting. They were doing their jobs. Maybe we should focus less on aesthetics and more on not breaking federal law. The room rippled. Karen bristled. You always think you're above the rules. Only the imaginary ones you invent, I shot back. After the meeting, she cornered me in the parking lot. You humiliated me in front of everyone, she hissed. You'll wish those agents had scared me. I just smiled. You already made your point when you climbed my roof. She narrowed her eyes. You haven't seen anything yet. Next morning, I woke to hammering across the street. Karen was directing a small army of landscapers, sunglasses on, arms folded. Just sprucing things up after yesterday's inconvenience, she called, meaning the federal investigation. Hope you'll remove that eyesore soon. You're lowering property values. I grinned. Pretty sure your inconvenience just proved it's federally protected. Guess we'll just have to coexist with science. She was plotting, though. That afternoon, I got a notification from the HOA board. Urgent compliance notice. Federal equipment review pending. The email accused me of installing unauthorized hardware. Signed, naturally, by Karen, now interim communications chair. I replied with photos of the NOAA technician's badge and the agent's contact info. Feel free to verify before you file anything. I wrote. Let's just say the fallout came quick. That evening, Greg, our exhausted HOA president, showed up. I'm so sorry, he said. Karen told everyone your dish was a spy antenna. Half the neighborhood thinks you're CIA. I just laughed. Explains why Mrs. Patterson crossed the street today. Greg sighed. She's even talking about suspending your HOA membership. Can she do that? Not really, but she's loud. I'll try to rein her in. The next 2 days were weirdly quiet. Then came the zoning inspectors, orange vests, clipboards, sent by concerned residents, aka Karen. She hovered nearby, pretending to water a plant, eavesdropping while the inspectors debated possible code violations. I called Harris at NOAA on speaker. Don't let them touch it, he ordered. 15 minutes later, the black SUVs rolled up again, scaring the inspectors half to death. Harris turned to Karen. We've reviewed your involvement. This is your final warning. We're treating this as a local misunderstanding for now. Karen shrank, but you could see the gears turning. That night, a drone buzzed outside my window, camera aimed at my dish. The next morning, Karen posted on the HOA message board, surveillance in progress. Evidence being collected. I'd moved from neighbor to enemy agent in her story. That's when I decided to flip the script. I called a buddy at the local news, just the facts, not the feud. He brought a camera crew, and the segment went mildly viral. Local HOA mistakes government dish for spy rig. Karen's on-camera rant became a running joke for a week. But humiliation only fueled her. New flyers in mailboxes. More HOA notices. Now people were whispering. What if it was top secret? Maybe the HOA could be liable? Karen's greatest weapon was never logic. It was fear. So, I decided to counter with proof. That weekend, I threw a barbecue for the neighborhood. Burgers, lemonade, and a little show and tell. Video of Karen sneaking into my driveway at 2 a.m. filming my dish. I played it for everyone. Awkward laughter, a couple of gasps, some muttered. She's lucky that wasn't my yard. I clarified. That's not a spy rig. That's NOAA. The agents are just making sure nobody tampers with it again. Greg announced. Time to clarify this. Karen doesn't represent the HOA. Word spread before I finished cleaning up. Karen, predictably, showed up yelling across the yard. How dare you film me? I shrugged. You filmed me first. That's different, she protested. The tide had turned. People stopped seeing her as the selfless crusader. She became the neighbor everyone tiptoed around. But Karen doesn't quit. She escalates. At 2 a.m., my camera caught her climbing up to my dish, shears in hand, intent on cutting it again. Only this time, NOAA had installed a sensor. The moment she snipped a cable, the yard lit up like a football field, and a recorded voice boomed. Security breach detected. Step away from the equipment. She froze, then bolted, but it was too late. The system had already notified local police and NOAA. Siren lights. Neighbors at their windows. Harris arrived alongside the deputy. Karen tried to talk her way out, flinging every excuse. The deputy, not amused, issued a citation and promised a referral to the county attorney. Karen gasped, clutching her pearls. You can't do this to me. My husband's a lawyer. Harris just replied, "Then he'll know what felony means." The crowd snickered. The next day, Karen tried to flip the narrative, posting edited video online, calling me a manipulator, demanding an emergency HOA vote to suspend my membership. The drama peaked at a packed meeting where, after she ranted about weaponized bureaucracy, I played the full, unedited footage of her on my roof. The crowd went dead silent. "That's the truth," I said. "Everything else is noise." Greg backed me up. "This is accountability." Karen stormed out. But peace never lasts. Soon after, I got served. Karen was suing me for emotional distress and defamation, demanding the dish be removed. In court, her claims crumbled. The judge watched 30 seconds of her rooftop adventure and dismissed the suit with prejudice. Her power on the HOA board was suspended. You'd think that'd be the end, but Karen is creative. A few nights later, I caught her installing her own dish at 1 a.m. on her property line, paperwork approved by herself. Noah caught the illegal signal within hours, and the police confiscated it. She was cited again. That's when she shifted tactics. Property flags appeared. Boundary dispute initiated. She claimed my fence was over her line. I told her it was sensor-linked for wildlife monitoring. Total bluff, but she bought it. Still, at midnight, she brought in an excavator to dig for property markers. That's when the real sensors, from Noah, triggered alarms, and Harris showed up, just tired at this point. Karen's cousin gave up, and she was left screaming at the stars. After that, the flyers got wilder. Conspiracy theories. Accusations. She tried to get the media involved again, but this time the story fizzled. The neighborhood, exhausted, finally turned on her. The HOA dissolved the enforcement committee that gave her power. She was, at last, isolated. But even then, I got one last note, handwritten and signed. You think you won, but sometimes being right isn't the same as being good. No signature, just spite. That's how it goes with people like Karen. In their mind, they're the hero of the story. Doesn't matter how many rules they break. There's always another battle to fight. Life goes on. The dish stays up. The neighborhood found peace again, a little older, a little wiser. Sometimes, when the blue LEDs blink quietly at night, I remember how a single act of entitlement can spiral into chaos, and how patience, plus a few well-placed cameras, can make all the difference. Because, in the end, gravity catches up with everyone, even the self-declared enforcers of order. So here's my question to you. Where do you draw the line between protecting your rights and becoming the problem? Ever dealt with a Karen of your own? I want to hear your stories down below. What's justice? What's overkill? Drop a comment. Let's see where everyone stands.